All right, I think we are live streaming here. It is Dan RadioStyle. Here we go. Let's see if I can actually hear myself this time. A little quick sound check. All right, and then we're going to kick into some music. This is, of course, a little filler to kind of get everybody on board. Let's see if he actually joins up. All right, we're going to start some music here. And coming in with the song, I'll come out with it. We'll see how it goes out. Here we go.
The pill I keep taking, the nightmare I waken. There's nothing, no nothing, nothing but you. My perfect rock bottom, my beautiful trauma. My love, my love, my drug. My love, my love, my love, my drug. My love, my love.
All right, that was Pink doing Beautiful Trauma, which, of course, I think many of us can relate to some degree. Not necessarily the pills and all that crazy stuff, because that's kind of ridiculous. But, you know, the standard, I'm going to try to see if I can actually pull myself up on here, too, because this is, I want to make sure that I'm doing this correctly. So far, we got 2 on there. That's fantabulous. And thank you guys for joining. We're going to be doing a little show on intuition. And I wanted to try to kind of get into some of the basics, some of the skinny of it. Yeah, it's actually working. Check that out. All right. Okay, cool. Now let's turn the volume down. Okay, so yes, intuition. Good stuff. Now, Gorse, go ahead and start shooting questions. Hi, guys. Start shooting questions out there. You know, we'll see if I can pop them in there every once in a while. I'll try to be a little better at this. This is my, I think, 4th one, so I'm getting better at the live stuff. But intuition, you know, for a lot of us, from the spiritual side, there's kind of that direction. I've been reading a lot of Wayne Dyer, as many of you know, and then there's kind of the more of the physical side. So we'll start there. We'll start with the awakening masses, the kind of earlier on section of the group, if you will. The people that are starting to use their intuition, starting to have little snippets of it, starting to have little moments where, hey, that text message came in, but you thought of the person right beforehand, right? That wonderful little moment. When we start to wake up into that, when we start to realize how much connection we have with those around us, when we start to appreciate that the way we are all intertwined, the fact that you dropped your keys before you were leaving for the house, and then you kicked over the trash can, you're like, oh, and you had to pick that up, so it took an extra 3-4 minutes to get out of the house, and then boom, out the door, and then shoot, look at that, you end up meeting up with somebody. So the intuition thing is not a far cry from the whole fact that many of us can feel or sense others, right? So we've got that neat connection. Well, the intuition part is where you start to receive information back from them. A lot of people call it empathy, right? That's a very similar or common term used in a non-dangerous kind of way, right? Oh, you've got empathy? Oh, you feel for people. Oh, that's adorable. That's cute, right? That's a good thing. So when you can feel for other people, that's great. Now, when you're an empath, that means you're somebody that's really capable of feeling other people, right? So, or empathetic, or all those things. So what that kind of means generally, or how it's played out for me in a lot of cases, is when you start getting a little more intuitive, start getting a little more sensitive, start actually, and really the key, one of the keys, by the way, for anyone's like, how do you do this, right? One of the basic keys right off the bat is understanding that this exists, that we have this energy flow between us, that there is this connection between us. So because of that, we can actually feel each other and understand each other. And I've talked about thought transmissions to a lot of people in the past, right? Thought transmissions, you bark it out there, right? And then everything goes out there. Everyone can hear it. I mean, the person you're focused at, they're definitely like in the direct line of sight, but it's kind of like being on the cell phone, right? The person on the other end can hear the conversation beautifully, but anybody around you can hear anything you're saying. Anything you're saying, right? So it's not like it's a big secret. It's not like what you're broadcasting is hidden from anybody. So intuition gets into that feeling, that information from the other people. You know, one example we talk about is when we're thinking of them, what do they feel? The thought transmission and all that stuff. The same concept comes back to when you can pick up on them. But it's not just that. Sometimes it's maybe that person you're meeting is someone you should be a little cautious of. Or maybe you're going someplace and you're not sure where you're going and you're about to turn down a street and you're like, not there. And as you drive by it, you're like, it was a horrible alley and that would have been bad, right? Like, that's intuition. That's that gut level. That's that important thing. And I've talked about too from the chakras, right? That's like your 3rd chakra. Hi, everybody. That is your 3rd chakra, and it's very important in trying to kind of evolve through these feeling phases, right? So on the very awakening process, that's where a lot of this stuff starts to happen. We'll call it coincidence. We'll call it, what are some of the other gut feeling maybe, or, hunch. There you go. Haphazard. It happened just haphazardly, whatever. Like, you blow it off because, it can be explained as swamp gas or whatever, right? I'm sure there's all sorts of explanations that are, if they work in your mind, then cool. But it starts to get to a point where it starts to happen more and more and more. And eventually those coincidences start to be kind of hard to come by, right? Like, is it still a coincidence if it's happened 12 times? I mean, come on, man. That's at some point you're starting to see a pattern. You're like, wait a minute. When I do this, then this happens over here. No, it's a coincidence. All right, watch. I'll do this. Oh my God, it happened. And it almost happened faster. It's like I knew it was gonna. Here I go breaking into my Southern accent, right? For any of you that watch my stand-up. But again, it goes that way, right? What happens when we start to evolve through this is we start to realize that we're already connected to everybody. And you start to kind of walk into your day going, okay, who am I going to be impacting with today? Who am I going to affect? Who's going to affect me? What are you bringing for me? And intuition will actually start to give you some clarity into those sorts of feelings too, right? Those sorts of interactions. And it also, when you're trying to manifest maybe something down your line, thank you. You guys are awesome. When it starts to go down that path where you're trying to create maybe a new job or trying to create a new life, then your intuition will often be that inspired guidance or that inspired what's the inspired something? Someone help me out with that. But when you get that inspired reason to do something, right? I can't remember the word. Anyways, again, you keep kind of heading towards that. You get that inspired action, you go and do it. And that really is kind of coming from that intuition side of things. And that whole aspect of this is kind of what, is guiding us and bringing us along. Now, one thing that I think is good to keep in mind, well, we'll see if anyone's got any questions at this point so far. Just might be a good time to bring it up. I had a sort of a deep conversation with a stranger. At the end, he just said, when I say I'll be fine today, I am fine today. Oh, okay. Yeah, I guess that is true. So kind of unrelated per se, but that is kind of along the same lines. And let's see if any questions pop through. It doesn't seem like they're going to just far. But again, the intuition, it's something that you start to feel. You start to get hunches. You almost have to practice it a little bit. Maybe you'll practice if you got a significant person nearby. Inspired action. Thank you so much. My goodness. Thank you, Amanda. Sorry, all these terminologies, all these little words running around in our heads is very, very difficult. One thing that I think is really important to keep in mind when we're starting to try to work on our intuition, trying to understand it. Like, are we good at this? Are we not good at this? Like, what's going on with this whole concept of intuition? Can I hear him? Can I not hear him? Blah, blah, blah. It's important to know that it's when the message comes to you, right? So there's a lot of times I've had people like, I was thinking about my specific person, for example, and I had them in my mind, and then all of a sudden I got kind of scared that maybe they were going to cheat on me or something like that. Is that intuition? Generally, no. That's generally fear. And it's honestly, this is a very important distinction to make. Very important distinction to make. So if anyone's got questions in regards to, that, please ask. But the difference between being afraid of something happening while you're thinking about it already versus sitting there typing away, blah, 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 and then bam, all of a sudden something out of, left field, as they would say, something that just nowhere, where the heck did that come from? I wasn't thinking about it. Generally speaking, it's going to be kind of one of those things where they'll pop into your head just out of the blue. That is more of that intuition-y side of thing. The fear thing is very important because it'll help you see where your blockages are. So when you start going down these thought paths, you're like, oh, was that intuition? But you're actually finding that you're thinking of them, all of a sudden, oh, what if he's cheating on me? Or what if I don't get this job because there's someone more capable? Or what if my financing doesn't go through because my credit score is not high enough? Or whatever the case is. Right? A lot of times we'll shoot ourselves down before we even have a chance. That's fear. That's not intuition. Intuition does not usually come in as, it doesn't come in as something that's like you're bad or you're negative or something like that. It may be news of something that's, like the death of in the family or something. That's happened to a lot of people I know, right? They get that intuition before something like that happens, or maybe they get visitations from people that are outside. What about when you get a feeling to do something, but then you do it and it gives your solar plexus a stirrup? Maybe. Okay. So good. I'm glad you actually brought that up. Is Bex X. It makes me want a beer right now. Thanks, Bex. Solar plex. So that's the third chakra I was talking about. That's your third chakra. That's a very, very physical level chakra. And when you feel a gut level thing, it's a very life-oriented situation, right? So if there's something going on in my life, like I said, that alley's a bad alley to drive down, or I'm going to go into that person over there, they're on the other side of the street, I'm going to kind of pick up my pace a little bit and just stay away and kind of keep tabs on them. Like, you get feelings about people, gut feelings. That's that kind of, it deals with life specifically. So that, I think, very much solar plex, yes. And it will give yourself a run-up. Sometimes you get nervous. That's one thing. Like, I was nervous as crud before I got up on stage and did my stand-up. So there's a good example of sometimes where nervousness is not necessarily a bad thing. It'll be something that'll like hit you as like, this is not good. Like, it'll hit you. It's not like, oh, it makes me nervous. Nervous is good. Actually, when you feel nervous and then do whatever it is that you're nervous about, first dates are like that. The first kisses can be like that, right? Getting up on stage in front of a lot of people can definitely be like that. That is a feeling that you want to pay attention to as well, because those are the feelings that help you understand where you should be going. Like, your soul's singing to you and it's saying, no, do this. And you're like, no, I'm scared. And it's like, I know, that's why we got to do this. That is a very awesome and powerful feeling. And this is exactly what I'm talking about when it comes to intuition and all that stuff. You learn to tune that feeling. So if it feels a little funky in the solar plex, you start to understand what that means. When it feels like, ooh, that's scary, then it feels like that. When it's like, a pain, maybe that means something else, right? Like, you learn to sort of understand these feelings. But then there's the fourth chakra, and that's where you start to get into more of the spiritual realm, maybe more of the empathetic stuff, where you might be feeling someone's feelings, their thoughts, how they're vibrating at the moment. So maybe they're scared right now. Like, you might kind of pick up on that a little more than a gut level action, which is a very like, this affects me. This is fight or fright. This is my fear of survival, right? It's one of my six senses for just your survival instinct. But when it comes down to trying to, do spiritual evolution, those kinds of things, that's where you start to get into the fourth chakra. I've talked about that being the great leap. Dan Millman talks about it as well, that third to fourth jump. You actually go from doing something that's very physical that you could feel to something that's very, it just feels like I have to do this, but I have nothing physical to go on. So I'm going to see if I can scroll up here and find any good other questions. There's my beer guy. People say okay, let's try this. People usually say that you need to let go to manifest a specific person. When you forget, he or she will manifest. But I talked to a girl and she said that her specific someone texted her when she got a text from him and really got frustrated. Wow. Because he wasn't manifest. Wow. Okay, that's a lot of stuff. So what it sounds like to me is there's different techniques that work for a lot of different people, right? Some people, it works really well to continue thinking about them. And some people, it works really well to not and to let go. And some people, here's the thing. Most people, and this is the truth, okay? Most people don't do the same technique constantly, forever, for weeks, right? So if right now you're frustrated, if right now every time you think of them, you get, right? You want to just punch them in the throat, right? Which is not okay. That's bad, right? But if you feel like that every time, then yeah, now's a great time to let go. Let go, learn to forgive, write some astral letters. I've talked about that before. Do some stuff. Kind of work on yourself. Work on self-love. If someone else is getting you that fired up, your control of your own life is pushed out to someone else, right? But if you're missing them and you're like, I miss them, I don't feel like we're connected anymore, that's a great time to start doing the work again. The imagination, imagining from, trying to get that connection established up again. And whether they text, don't text, whether they're involved in stuff or not involved, really it shouldn't be about other people. It should be about you. What are you doing? How are you feeling? And if you're feeling and doing good, then you are manifesting what you are trying to manifest. Doesn't matter what other people are doing or where other people are at. That's their business. That's their life. Even if you're going to interact with them, they can have their own demons and it not necessarily affect you as long as you're not focusing on them. Again, if we're focusing on something, it doesn't necessarily go away. That's just kind of how that plays out, right? What you stare at persists, right? What you resist persists, they even say. So if you try to push away from something, it actually pushes back. And what's that great Nietzsche phrase about staring into the abyss and the abyss stares back to you? And try not to become the monster when you stare at the monster. I don't know, whatever that. I'm butchering the phrase. I could look it up. It's a lot easier actually on these than it is my normal ones. But anyways, all right. Sometimes the thoughts that come up first, it's hour and two. Yes, great point, Elia, 1789. Like, oh, wow. Such a great year. I remember it vividly and fondly. Yes, very much. Intuition is the first thing that pops up, and that's where most of us screw up too. So I think that's such a great point, because from the intuition standpoint, from getting better at intuition, making it stronger, getting more people involved in your intuition, or well, be more accurate. I think it's really what it comes down to, because you got to play with it, and you're going to be wrong a bunch at first, 50-50 maybe. You'll be wrong a bunch, but you'll learn, and you'll get better, and you'll start to find that, dude, 80% of the time I'm generally right. Like that's, so again, your intuition just gets better and better and better, and there's aspects you can do to clean that up. But from the general layman standpoint, no, it's. I'm already forgetting what you. Oh, that was great about what you said. Yes, thought first. A lot of us will have the intuition hit us, and they're like, oh, and then they're like, should I do blah, blah, blah inside our mind, right? Like, so intuition hits us, hey, you need to turn left. I wonder if left is where nah. And the second we start thinking about it, boom, done, screwed it, done, ruined it horribly. So again, when the intuition hits, that's intuition. When we follow up with that voice in our head or that question in our head, that's not intuition. And you've kind of already lost what was done. So again, intuition is that still small, bam, voice that hits you. And it's the conscious self that's like an observer and kind of watching what's happening and all the, what's going on in our life and what senses, right? What's in front of me, and oh my God, what's that smell, right? Like, I should be concerned. All those things come into play. But again, intuition is very much is going to be playing a part in this. I get so distracted so easily. All right, anyway, I think I covered that. How do you distinguish the feeling of anxiety, nervousness against excitement? Okay, well, both you give this and the feeling gut. No, right? Yeah. Is there a difference? Now, I don't think there's a difference, to be honest with you. Was it Powell? Powell Ramos, I think it is there. No, I don't think there's a huge difference between anxiety, nervousness, and excitement. To me, what those are the same things, but excitement's something you've either done before or you're not scared of. And anxiety, nervousness is something you're scared of that's still going to feel just as awesome as the other excitement thing, right? So that's really important to pay attention. And a lot of people, this is one of the most debilitating, so it's a bitching question, one of the most debilitating things that people will do or will cause to themselves is when they kind of, I'm so bad at keeping my train of thought going with you guys. They treat the nervousness, excitement, like if I'm nervous, I'm not going to do it, right? But if I'm excited, I will. And because of that, so many people, like that song is singing inside their head. It was like me not doing my stand-up. You guys are making great comments, and I appreciate everybody that saw it and appreciated it. It's so awesome. If you haven't seen it, please do. It's in my videos. It's recent. It's the one that's just like black, right? It's just me standing on a stage, and someone was tripping that I have legs, which I thought was funny. But again, when we distinguish those feelings, nervousness, same thing. That's just to help to guide you that you need to do this. So, good example. I've heard a lot of people say this, like I'm trying to manifest my specific person back into my life, right? Great example. We're so kind of getting off intuition, but whatever. And they come into the room and they're like, oh, and I'm nervous and I'm scared and oh, right? But you've been trying to manifest them into your life. Here they are right now in front of you. And all of a sudden now you're scared and nervous. Your hands start getting sweaty and clammy and oh no, I'm not hungry. I'm going to throw up. I got to go to the bathroom, right? Like all those things are great indications that you need to talk to that person badly. Because otherwise it's going to be like my life's in danger. Trust me, there's a big difference between like I'm scared because I'm nervous versus my life is in peril. So good. Please, great question, by the way. I love that question and all that stuff. You're gonna nail it if you actually start facing your fear. Again, going up and doing it. Face the fear. What's the worst friggin' thing that can happen? They say no? Really? Come on. Yeah, I've heard no plenty of times in my life. Let me see. Okay, so right here, this is a great question, and they're probably not going to like my answer, but if a person is bad, can we make them be good using law of attraction techniques? If you're worried about trying to change someone else's behavior, you're completely missing the point of law of attraction. And it's kind of an important thing for anybody else that's out there. Yes, you can affect other people. You can't change. You cannot change or force your thoughts, words, beliefs onto another. You can influence them. Great example. This is a great example. For anybody that's in sales, this is true. This is 100% true. I used to play around with that at the coffee shop all the time, and it used to crack me up. People would come in, and we had a wall of beans. I don't know, we probably had 35 different varieties of beans, different kinds of beans, and they're all a little different. It's like wine. They all taste a little different, right? Someone would come in, and they're like, oh, and they'd be instantly intimidated. all I'd have to say is Garuda's my favorite. And they would be like, all right, I'll get Garuda. And that's all it takes sometimes, the power of suggestion. So the powers that we have in that regard are quite impressive. But that individual that I'm saying Garuda is my favorite still has the option to go, no, I think I'll try the Uzuri, or I think I'll try the Ethiopian, or I think I'll try the Colombian, or, right? They've always got that option to do their path. It's their path. They are not there for you. I know there's a little confusion around this, us pushed out and all that kind of stuff. Us pushed out does not mean they are you. Like, they're still real people. They're behaving in a manner, and you're perceiving in a manner that is them pushed out, you pushed out, whichever. But they are not you. They are their own people. So that's an important distinction for a lot of people. So can you force anybody to? No, everyone has free will. And thank goodness everyone does. Because if they did, maybe we wouldn't have freedom, or, World War II would have ended differently, right? Just saying, because there's people all over the world maybe that are on this call. Okay, so brain versus heart. Oh, good. I want to read this back. You're back, man. You're back with some more good stuff. Brain versus heart, gut. Mind chatter is often social training and memory and creates fear. Okay, yeah. Unless it's physical danger. Right. So, yeah, basically, if I understand what you're kind of saying, and there's another side of this, too, by the way. There's the programming side of this. I don't know how long I'm going. These are really easy to just go yammering on forever for you guys. I'm sorry. I hope that's okay. But again, brain, heart, like we start to think, we start to look at what's going on. Sometimes the social disorder and disharmony that's going on around us. We're trained to, not be happy, not feel safe. We need a security system for our house. We need the newest thing. So there is a little of that societal construct that I do think kind of causes many people to feel in bad ways, or to feel, and they use it against us. It's kind of similar intuition, but it's more subconscious and psychological programming that they actually do. I feel like the majority of signs that come through to me are through dreams. Nice. Is this intuition? Okay, good. That's a great question. Thanks, Jeanette. So just to kind of finish the whole thing, because I just stopped reading it out loud. You guys didn't necessarily. Is this intuition or just based on my focused thoughts throughout the week, month? Now, dreams are interesting, and they seem to fall into a few categories. I want to say there's 5, and I'm not going to be able to list them off right now. But ultimately, the ones that tend to be very real, right? Like are real, like you wake up and you're like, did I seriously talk to so-and-so? Oh, my God. Right? Like those are powerful. Pay attention. There's whatever happened in there. There's something very close to real life that's occurring in that scenario, because it's very spelled out in real life symbolism. When it starts getting strange, and I've used the experiment of, walking barefoot through a forest of mayonnaise while the zebras swing from the licorice vines, like you're just like, what the frick is going on in my brain, right? Like the crazy symbolism, those things will oftentimes be a little more of a deep subconscious kind of rooted thing. And some people also have very much psychic experiences. They'll experience these things in advance. They'll intuition. There we go. That's another one, like psychic intuition. So that sometimes will come through dreams as well with people. And I think a lot of it's because we let go. We accept in dreams that crazy stuff can happen. But when crazy stuff happens in our brains while we're awake, we tend to go, oh no, that's not okay. It must mean I'm crazy. I need to take another pill. Something's wrong with me. Right. So all that stuff is not. Is good. Okay. Let's see here. I'm gonna go to Elia. Beck, I like you, man. You're asking great questions. I also believe a more respectful relation with nature. Oh, geez, yes. So yeah, Elia says a more respectful relation with nature will have a positive effect on our intuition. Yes. So if you guys kind of want to have that sort of I need to, have a, come to Jesus talk, or some sort of, talk to myself, like higher self to figure out, do I need to keep doing this? Should I keep doing this? Is there something different I can do? Oh my God, she's so right. A walk in nature, maybe take a walk down on the beach. I think even Agnes has talked about before how you can go down to the beach and kind of like spend time down there and really get into the whole experience of it, right? And just like feel the experience, the noise, the smells, right? All those things. And nature is such a wonderful, beautiful, perfect reminder of who we are. Not going to get off subject too much, but just to throw a little teaser out there as far as nature is concerned, the actual species, to my understanding, and this is from a very spiritual standpoint, that is really holding down the energy of the planet right now, just throwing us out there, it's crazy stuff, is actually the dolphins and the whales and all those kinds of those what are they? Not Caucasians, but whatever. I can't remember the actual proper term for whales. But essentially, all those whales, their energy, they're actually way, 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 way smarter, especially dolphins and porpoises and stuff like that, than we actually realize. And for any of you that have ever swam with them or been on the water with them, you'll totally agree with me. Okay, let's see. Let's go back to Beck now. What about during meditation, when you focus on someone, perhaps sending good vibes, energy, and when you feel good with you? But when thoughts about them randomly turn up during the day, like, are they right there with you? Okay, so that kind of gets back to thought transmissions in my mind, Bex. Yes, if you're just like doing nothing, randomly, like typing away or vacuuming, or maybe you're folding laundry and all of a sudden, boom, something pops into your head. Yeah, a lot of times that something is very significant. This does get back into intuition, so I totally think this is on par. But it's learning, again, it's learning to decipher between our thoughts and people, and receiving. So that's really the key. And you need to be discerning. Don't be quick to jump that, this must be intuition. It's probably you first. Always fall back on that side, even though it might not be. But fall back on that side, because generally speaking, that's a better approach to be like, what am I thinking right now? Does it kind of relate? I was sort of thinking, I was kind of over here, and again, and if it doesn't, if you're like, no, I was thinking about pizza, and then all of a sudden you popped into my head. What the hell? Like, you have nothing to do with pizza, right? Boom, there you go. So that, yes, when they pop into you, that's very important. Now, terminology-wise for me, just throwing this out there, to me, meditation is more of a time where I go still and quiet and try to let thoughts flow through me and not necessarily hold on to anything or focus on to anything. But I do think you can kind of focus while you're in sort of that meditative state. I don't know what to call that, but to me, meditation is more of I'm just being quiet and letting things pass through me. But I do see when you're trying to create, I believe that's more of a creative, more of a sun energy kind of thing. Meditation to me is more of a moon energy. Maybe that's a better way to distinguish it. And totally okay. There's nothing wrong with it. I think it's good. Hit the moon energy part of it. Get your energy good and mellow and chill. Let the thoughts pass through you. Don't hold on to anything. If it's noisy, if it's quiet, doesn't really matter. Just let it pass. Don't hold on to anything. Do that for 5-10 minutes, and then focus on what you're wanting to accomplish or sending energy to someone you love, because what it does is actually creates a far more powerful effect. It gets you into a very different mindset and a very different energy state when you do the meditation for 5-10 minutes first, and then start pushing out to them, which is a great thing. Canned signs. Elliot, can you throw more at me? Because that just seems canned signs. I don't know what that means. That's very few words. I don't know if you agree with me on that. All right, so I'm going to talk a little bit and see what more questions come in. This has been fun, and maybe I should just cut this short at this point. But yeah, we're having good times. Fear thoughts, cycles. So again, yes, pay attention. When you're scared, that's not really intuition. Usually it's going to come out of the blue, and that's a good thing. Another analogy that I was kind of thinking about it is good. Nice for you, Bex. Another analogy that I'm kind of fond of, and to me, this is kind of what intuition is, right? Imagine a room in your house, maybe a house you grew up in, a room that you know well, right? You know it really well. You know the room really well. You know where all the furniture's laid out, right? You know it very well. Okay, now make it pitch black, put a blindfold on you, whatever you got to do, and walk in and try to get to the light switch or the little light that you maybe got to turn on wherever it is, unless it's right when you walk in. Obviously, this doesn't work well for my story here, but let's imagine the light switch is on the other side of the room. Now, you know the room, and you pretty much know where everything's at, but you're still kind of feeling your way along, right? You got your hands out, you got you're looking to touch the walls. Maybe you're taking smaller steps because you know there's a table that you might hit with your shin. Maybe you're putting your foot out a little further, kind of trying to see how far you can get. That's what intuition and playing with it is like. That is what you're basically doing. You're in the dark room and you're kind of just absorbing the fact that you're picking up all these interesting feelings that you used to ignore. All these things that you used to be like, that's not real, right? All these things that you used to ignore, and now all of a sudden, here you are paying attention to it. And you're like, whoa, this stuff's all around me? And you start getting better at noticing, where's the table? How can I take a step without hitting the table square into my shins? Like, right? So you take small baby steps. Well, that's what we're doing. It's the same kind of thing. Okay, well, you are on. Yeah, Elliot never came back. So, Beck, Pamela. Dude, you're on there, girl. What's up, girl? Now, everybody, by the way, Pamela S., This is going to sound crazy. I swear I borderline have a small crush on you, I think, Pamela. But you're awesome. I love your channel. You're getting there. All your things are happening. People check her out. She's really cool. She's just a very good girl on the East Coast doing her thing. But she's good times, man. She did a good video today, and I really loved it, and just always good stuff. So anyway, intuition, paying attention to all this stuff. Walk barefoot in nature, bro. Backs are on fire, man. Just stop being so freaking awesome, because you're just making me want beer a lot, and especially with the X, because then I'm like a Dos Equis on top of that. I know it's not good. This show is not for children, apparently. And you explain the process. Boom. Kids are very into it. Well, so it looks like we're possibly getting to the end of this one. Thank you, Pamela. Looks like we're possibly getting to the end of this whole thing. She made it, but she made it towards the end nonetheless. But again, it's good. Yeah, Nina, I've seen you in there. I've seen you make comments. Nina, is it? Yeah, that's what we're calling you. Murcielago. It's something by the lake. I forget what it was. I looked it up one time. Anyway, boom. Next step after self-love. Very true, actually. That might be worth a couple moments talking about. First off, I know a lot of people get a little grumpy about self-love. In fact, I've got a friend that is kind of in this circle. It's kind of similar to Pamela, right? She's in this circle, and you as you grow, you start to have experiences, and it's interesting how people can come into that. But a lot of people, I guess, get frustrated about how some of us talk about self-love and really trying to learn to love yourself. But that doesn't just mean I look in the mirror and say, Dan, I love you. It also means, hey, am I trying to attract somebody that's healthy for me? Am I actually trying to do a job that's healthy for me, that's maybe not so stressful that it's probably going to cause me, harm or ill, right? Or am I working so hard to hang on to my apartment or condo or house that I'm missing life and all the fun that life can offer? So it's a very good thing to kind of throw out there and keep in mind. Too drippy. You just caught my attention with just your name. You trying to manifest a specific person, and if you did, yeah, this is a great topic. Too drippy. Yes and no, and I'll say it right here. I guess this is probably the best place to say it. So the deal with my specific person, I love with all my heart, and she loves me with all of her heart, and I'm quite sure of that. She's currently married. She has a child that's currently 10 years old. And I am not comfortable trying to be involved with breaking apart the family. So, yes, I've manifested her. I've manifested her close to me, and we are still close. I still talk on a regular basis. But it is not going to happen right now. It's not going to happen anytime soon, because I am not, I've talked before about doing what's right for more people in the big picture. And in my particular case, driving a wedge in a family and pulling a family apart because her and I have such a strong, not cool. Right? So she can deal with her situation for a while longer. I'll just keep doing my thing and working on my thing and, dating whoever I want, whatever, right? I'll keep doing my thing. So again, it's just a scenario where I'm not comfortable doing that. So there you go. That's how that works. Lucid dreams. Oh, well, if they're lucid, you are controlling them. That's just by the very nature of the definition. And yes, I think it's fun to pay attention to the fact of what you're doing in them. They're a great place to really practice, like flying and crazy things like that, right? So if you're doing it to do cool stuff like that, that's always fun. If you're doing it, you can spy on people. You're essentially almost consciously in an astral travel kind of scenario in your life. So yeah, have fun. If you're doing lucid dreams, run with it, man. YOLO, you only live once. Amen to that. Thank you, Cupcake Girl. Yeah, I've seen you comment many times. Sunshiny hug from the Caribbean. Ooh, nice. Keep it thanks. Where's the questions? I love the niceties. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. So I guess I don't see any other questions in there. Cool. We're gonna call this, man. This has been a long one for you guys. I'm enjoying this. I appreciate all you guys coming on. Actually, looks like I didn't make any major faux pas in this particular one. I had audio through the whole thing. Very nice. Different way to look at things. But anyway, thank you guys all for joining me. Again, we're talking about intuition. Try to pay attention to that feelings, right? That's that whole, empathy, empathetic. You feel bad for somebody on the street that's begging. You don't necessarily give them money, right, per se. You can, but that's not the point. It's the whole understanding that, shoot, that could be me. That's empathy. And when you can get to that place where you can feel another human being's energy, or feel what it must be like to be them, then now you're heading down that path. And when you start to go into that direction of feelings and focus, That's where intuition and these kinds of things start to happen. It's in that genre anyway. I hope that helps. I don't know. We'll see. Generally speaking, too, no offense, guys, but us guys generally aren't quite as good at this as women. Women are very used to feelings, and this is where this whole world exists, is feelings. So as a guy, if you're not really in touch with your feelings or in touch with feelings, or if you're not into, like, you can't go to a movie and tear up. If you can't do that, then you're going to have a harder time with the intuition thing. So let it go. Let it be free. It's okay, man. You don't have to cry in front of other dudes. I know, they can be a little weird, but, cry with your girl or cry by yourself. It's okay. I know, it's okay. I'm not just saying run around and just cry for no reason. Just cry willy-nilly. That's not okay. Okay, all right. I think I've said enough. I've wasted so much time. Thank you guys for joining me again. Going out with a great song. There it is. It's called Dust Till Dawn. It's from Zane and Sia. I think that's how you say her name. Anyway, it's right here. It's Dan Radio Style. Thanks again for joining me on this live one. Woohoo!